I think Khabib could do that to almost anybody, except maybe Oliveira. People look at some of the losses that Oliveira had. You can't look at those. You got to look at the wins. You got to look at who he is now. Don't look at who he is 5 years ago or 6 years ago. Look who he is right now.
Is that the last time he lost?
I don't think it's that long ago. He had a fight with Felder, and he caught Felder, I believe, in a guillotine. And then Felder got out of it and smashed him and stopped him. But Felder's the fucking man. So this is Felder. So Oliveira's got his leg here. He came really close to a leg lock, but Felder can grapple. And he's also very strong and very big for the weight class. So Felder eventually wound up on top, and Felder beat the fuck out of him on top. Look at these nasty smashing elbows from the guard. Felder's his last loss. So that was 2017. But who he is right now, though, right now, that guy is the fucking man. That's who he is. I'm super excited to see him against Gaethje. Yeah. Him against Gaethje, that's a real fucking test. Not that Dustin wasn't a real test too, but Gaethje is another kind of real test.
I'm always in my mind going, I want to see this guy fight Khabib.
Oh yes, that would have been the fight. And maybe it could be. Maybe it could be still. Khabib might decide at one point in time, you know.
Yeah, it's him and Khabib are scary that way. Because after that fight, I went back and watched like all his highlights. There's a predator-like like precision with. As soon as you give him an opening, it's a wrap.
Well, see, the thing is, Khabib can do that too, but Khabib chooses to smash you, or what? Like the way he says, smash. He smashes people. Khabib smashes people. But if you look at the Justin Gaethje fight, Khabib submitted Gaethje. He almost submitted him in the end of the first round, and they submitted him in the second round. And one of the reasons why he did that, now this is supposedly, I don't know if this is true, but what they said is that, and I know this was true, that they do like each other, and that Justin actually helped Khabib cut weight, sat in with him, because one of the things about cutting weight is if there's someone there talking to you, it helps you through it. They're also managed by the same guy. So they have the same manager, and they got together. And so when they had that fight, Khabib liked him. So he says, I'm just going to submit this dude. So he got a hold of him, did his normal shit, gets his wrestling going. But then so this is the beginning of the first round. He chose to beat him in a way that he wouldn't have chosen to beat Conor. When he was on top of Conor, he's smashing his face.
He was trying to hurt that one.
And he was going, let's talk now. Let's talk now. Bam, bam, let's talk. Bam, just beating the fuck out of him. See, in this, he chooses to go straight to an armbar. It's very unusual for him, but this is Khabib's respect for Gaethje as a person, as a fighter, and also he can do this. He can do this. So this is the end of the first round. So he almost catches him at the end of the first round with an arm bar, very close. But the end of the second round, he gets a hold of him, dumps him, takes his back. I mean, it's just the precision, and then he decided to go for a mounted triangle. And so when you watch him do this, he does this with such amazing control. He's doing it very quickly. Look how quickly he sets this up. He's just deciding he's going to do it, period, from the jump. Then he locks in the triangle, and that's a wrap, son. That is a death triangle. Look at it. Justin has to tap. There's no question at all. He's going out. And the referee lets him go, and Justin's out cold.
Like he didn't struggle at all.
Yeah, he tapped, and then he went out. But the way he did it, he went through him. He went right through him. I think Khabib could do that to almost anybody, except maybe Oliveira. I think Khabib, the guys that Khabib beat, that he smashed, I think a lot of those guys he could have submitted to. I think Khabib is that elite, especially like at the later stages of his career when he was just the GOAT. And he's arguably one of the absolute best submission artists, even though he smashes so many people.
Are you talking about Khabib?
Yeah. He's arguably one of the very best submission artists as well as being one of the greatest fighters of all time. You watch the way he goes through Gaethje like that, that is elite, high-level precision submission. Oliveira does that too. Oliveira does it, man. That's what makes you think like, wow, that would make the fight with Khabib so interesting. And I know Khabib has a lot of respect for him too, because Khabib said to Gaethje, there was an article that I was reading where he's saying, hey, you got to be aware of this guy. This guy is fucking for real. People think of Oliveira as not being a monster because there's times that people have beaten him. Like Paul Felder smashed him, and there's a lot of guys that beat him. Cub Swanson KO'd him. Guys have beaten him, but he got better. And you got to accept that and not think of like when he lost.
Well, who gets better at 35?
I don't believe he's 35.
No?
No, I think he's younger than that. I think he's 33. And I also think that he got into the UFC when he was 20. And so part of the problem was like he was learning and developing and growing as an elite in an elite organization. How old is he? 32. So see, he's been around a long ass time. But he came into his own over the last few years, which kind of makes sense. Like he figured it out somewhere around 27, 28. He comes, look, these guys are elite, right? They come close to beating him, but he finds a way to beat them. And the way he does it is so final. The way he beat Poirier, man, that choke was so fucking good. It was so good. His jiu-jitsu was really good, but maybe his striking wasn't as good as his jiu-jitsu. And then slowly his jiu-jitsu and striking merged, where he's like equal. Both of them he's lethal in. He's lethal in his striking and lethal in his jiu-jitsu. But the difference is his level of jiu-jitsu is a leap higher than most of the people he's competing against. He has the most submissions in the history of the UFC. And that's the difference between Oliveira and these guys. It's like they're all really good standing up. He's really good standing up. So there's kind of like an even playing field. But when that motherfucker gets a hold of you, you're in deep danger.
Yeah.
Terrifying danger where you can't make any mistake.